Yo, yo, yo. Once again, this is Crypto Crazy, and today's ICO evaluation, we're going to be looking into Sparkster, a decentralized cloud, Internet of Things kind of solution. So before we get into that, it might be useful just to consider what exactly we'll be addressing in this particular ICO evaluation. So, when we let the animations go, we'll be first just looking into what the problem is that they seek to address. Thereafter, we'll be considering their solution. From there, we'll go into looking at some of the benefits of Sparkster's ICO. Thereafter, we'll look at the roadmap, followed by some expert opinions. We'll then go into some of the main risks or potential issues associated with the project, and thereafter we'll conclude. This should be nothing new for those of you who have seen other kind of evaluations that I've done, but hopefully this will be helpful and beneficial when considering this particular project. But please remember, this is not a financial advice, so don't run away and tell anyone that I forced you to buy these things, or that I told you to do this. But this is just my own personal opinion made public. So yeah, let's take it from there.
Crypto crazy.
First and foremost, the problem. Um, let's skip some animations and go straight into it. So the issue is that blockchain technology, generally speaking, has been as wonderful as the underlying technology is in being able to distribute things into atomic sized pieces and essentially to gain a massive amount of security and the fact that it's a blockchain, so it's all quite immutable, so there's security benefits, etc., etc. There's issues particularly surrounding things such as speed. So, and where the Bitcoin, for example, is limited at 3 transactions per second, that makes it impossible to scale globally speaking. So, various solutions have been offered up, and as well as just scalability issues in that regard, there's also global adoption issues because there's just a lack of expertise when it comes to blockchain and developers. And so Sparkster really seeks to address both of these particular issues. So this is the problem that they seek to address. Um,
Crypto crazy.
but yeah, in terms of their solution, Sparkster essentially seek to create some sort of platform, or they have created a platform that essentially acts like a plug and play platform. It allows people to engage with a software, a platform that utilizes blockchain technology in its internal and architecture under the bonnet. So people essentially be able to engage with the platform that sits on top of this blockchain technology, and that means that people can also, with the way Sparkster have built things, they can also it means that people can engage with the platform without actually having to learn any coding whatsoever. Essentially, Sparkster's aim is to make it allow things to be coded in quote unquote plain English. One of the pages on their site essentially speaks of forcing computers to speak in our language. So that's quite an interesting thing. The way they seem to address this and seek to meet this need is by removing certain constraints that are currently forced upon them, that would be forced upon maybe some of their peers in like the blockchain industry, and they can remove these constraints without necessarily compromising, because when all is said and done, they're smart software, and so what they seek to do is remove some of the constraints, particularly the constraint of global state, which allows them to make use of a technique called sharding. And to shard their distributed hash tables by client groups. That then, coupled with this idea of a Sparkster decentralized cloud that's unique to Sparkster, then allows them to actually scale up massively. There technically is, even if a particular node can only operate at maybe about 1,000 transactions per second. The idea would be that this should hopefully allow them to scale linearly, I believe. So it's quite an interesting concept. This is just a snippet taken from their white paper. But yeah, this means that Sparkster with 50 cells so far has been able to hit a transaction 52,963 transactions per second. This makes Zilliqa's 2000 and QuoteChain's 2500 look minimal. Obviously, it's a different kind of, it's working in a slightly different industry within the same industry. So you wouldn't expect it to be completely like for like, hence because they're able to remove constraints that the others weren't, or haven't done. But that said, this has allowed for Sparkster's specific use case. Sparkster can actually aim for 10 million transactions per second with relative amount of ease in terms of how they foresee that happening. So this is quite an interesting one in terms of Sparkster's plan. But moving on,
Crypto crazy.
let's just look at some of the benefits associated with this. So again, taken directly from the Sparkster's website, so we can get information directly from them. We've taken information from the white paper, information from the website, and from clear, good sources. One of the reasons was essentially why they think it's important and why they think there's benefit is essentially because when all is said and done, a lot of people are going to be out of jobs. We think over the next, over the coming decade, especially because we're just moving into a very digital era. Things are being automated constantly. It's funny, my job involves me, my personal job involves me automating an awful lot of things, but that does actually result in people losing their jobs. And obviously there's more jobs for developers, but in terms of the total pool of jobs, it is reducing. And so one thing that is useful or would be useful is that if the expertise didn't have to be so specialized, and if more people could engage with like the kind of a platform that would generally be associated with coding without actually needing to code. And that's what Sparkster seek to actually develop. They sought to develop something that's so simple that that almost children could understand them, though as they've put, beware that this product has not been tested on children, but you get the kind of idea. It's a plug and play platform to allow people who are not as specialized to engage with it. So this is quite an interesting thing. This is one of the key benefits, I guess. But moving on again,
Crypto crazy.
let's just take a look at their roadmap. Sparkster's roadmap is quite impressive. I think it's interesting because for once I find myself quite a lot more interested with what they have done as opposed to what they are going to do. So Sparkster's was currently in Q2 2018. But what's quite interesting is that Sparkster has already released, has already launched, the Sparkster marketplace. Sparkster's got a wonderful proof of love ICO concept going on, which I might explain in another video. They've already got a decentralized cloud internal beta, release. They've already got a decentralized cloud architecture, planning completed and all that kind of stuff. They've started to really, they've already got a demoable platform, that's actually got quite a nice walkthrough kind of structure attached to it. They've already got live testnet operating at 52,000 transactions per second. There's quite a lot that they've already got going on. They're currently, I guess some big things that are going to happen is the ARM partnership, and then some of this, a few more like alpha tests and releases happening over the next couple quarters. But realistically, Sparks has actually got quite a lot done, and they've not got too much left, which is quite a wonderful thing when you see an ICO and you're like, this is what they've already delivered, and what they've already delivered is surprisingly slick and good. So this is quite nice, and it's quite a nice site. So like I said, they've already got a testnet that's fully in operation. They've already got walkthroughs that people can look at. These are good signs and good things that Sparkster's already got in place. And so I'm not too scared that they won't be able to fulfill the rest of the things on the roadmap with this kind of stuff in mind.
Crypto crazy.
So moving on to the expert opinions. Essentially, Shadow rated Sparkster at 86. Lou rated Sparkster at 88. Crit Keeper at 92. Black Dragon at 76. Tom Chase at 90. ICO Drops at 85. And Ian Bellino at 90. These are high Very, very, very high ratings. Sorry, I'm even pausing because I'm just looking at it like these are notoriously high ratings that they've been given consistently across the board. You know, even Black Dragon's 76% out of 100 is not low, relatively speaking. It's quite a high percentage. Um, you know, uh, there's a bit of kerfuffle going on around about Imbelina, but either way, we'll address that in a bit. But these are good ratings across the board, and these kind of things can give you a bit more confidence that the Sparkster ICO has been reviewed by experts in the game, and they think it's actually a wonderful ICO, and it's a wonderful platform, which is good news, and kind of creates a bit more assurance uh, when looking at the platform.
Crypto crazy.
Okay, but there are some main risks, and I flipped to the teacher kind of whiteboard approach now. There's Ian Bellino rumors. There's rumors that he's shielded it. That he's just essentially he's he's put them at the top of his spreadsheet in order to get I don't know, was it 2 million? Apparently, that's 2 million in unaccounted funds. I think that's a lot to try and suggest that he was paid, but and a lot for one review. But that said, that's the rumor. I don't really want to entertain rumors. We can't really validate them. We can't really, I can't really clearly. I don't know Ian like that, so I can't, deny it on his behalf. All those kind of things. But all I can say really is, it's got expert views, other expert opinions, as we just showed, and they all seem to rate it highly. The lowest being 76%. That's a good ICO. From the moment I see 76% is your lowest, I would be quite keen to consider that ICO. So irrespective of whether Ian has showed it or not, I think it's generally just a good platform by the looks of it. So another risk, I guess, is if the FUD gets really bad, this can cause reputational damages, and when all is said and done, when you hit the markets, you're controlled. Your reputation means something. Maybe not in the crypto markets as much, because the crypto markets can be crazy at times. But that said, reputation actually does mean something, and reputational damage is a potential risk. The platform could potentially prove not to be as slick as the walkthroughs imply. That's another risk, I guess. Right now in the walkthroughs, though it's been beautifully built, it's a walkthrough. There are YouTube videos occurring in between, acting as training videos. There are, hints that you're getting and all these various kind of things. It's very possible that the platform itself, though I haven't personally had any issues with the platform, if I've had any issues because I've been through all the walkthroughs, it's actually probably been with either like the walkthrough itself or registering that I've completed the walkthrough or something like that with regards to the proof of love. But in terms of the actual platform itself, I've not actually found any or many issues. But that's just, but it's possible that it's because we've not got full access to the platform. So that is something to bear in mind, I guess. The platform could potentially not be flexible enough. This is just a fundamental potential issue with plug and play platforms, that it's not flexible enough. Hopefully it will be. By the looks of it, it's very flexible, but it's a very big possibility that there might be certain things that are missing. The nice thing though is that because of the way that the platform's been built, they can always update, add things over time, improve things, and that's really good to know. Obviously, there'll have to be another testing phase and those kind of things, but generally speaking, that isn't too terrible a risk because it can always be improved upon. There's always a risk that the transactions per second is unattainable. That 10 million is a bit too high. That's just a risk that you have to be willing to bear, that they might not be able to fully deliver on the product. But at least with the way that they've been increasing in terms of the number of transactions per second so far, it looks like it will be scalable. And finally, that the depressed markets that we're currently in make for a bad first impression. With the prices down, BTC fluctuating like crazy, especially around the 6K mark at the time of producing this. It could very well be that creates a bad impression when it first hits the market. It's possible that things will get better by then, but it's also possible that they might not. And that is, again, something that one should bear in mind. If BTC doesn't recover, what does that kind of look like for Sparkster? But yeah, in conclusion, they seem like they have the capacity to deliver, in my mind. They do. They've already delivered on so much. And this has been a solid 4 years worth of effort. They started in 2014. It looks like they've delivered so much in that time, and now they're bringing the product before the people when they think it's stable and good, and that's a good thing. Once they've actually, they've already built what is their USP. They've been working on this for quite a long time. It's a good product. So yeah, definitely worth following in my mind. And yeah, I am curious to see how the market will respond to this once it hits the exchange. Markets can be volatile and markets can be crazy. Some things can go down, when they first hit the market because people sell who buy at ICO often, and it can go down by, by 10-15%. If it's Quark chain, like, it can be down under 50%, to under 50% of its initial launch value. It really does depend on the ICO. But that said, certain things bounce back quite impressively. Look at WAN, look at the ONT graphs, look at the WAN graph. They're like, some things do. So it's not impossible, but it is an interesting one. Zilliqa, as well. So yeah. Finally, I guess this isn't financial advice. Like I said, this is just my private thoughts made public. Yes, my private thoughts made public. So I hope that, this is helpful for some. If it's not helpful for you, I'm sorry, but if it is, hopefully, you continue to follow and like and that kind of stuff in the future. That said,
Crypto crazy.
if you love the videos, if you like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, like it. If you want to know more, subscribe. Those kind of things are very beneficial for me, because then I know that I should continue doing what I'm doing, and hopefully it's beneficial for you too, just to hear somebody else's thoughts and opinions. So that said, I'm Crypto Crazy, and I hope that you've enjoyed this video. Cool.